Good evening, everybody. Now, I'm just a simple man, and my name is Noah Foster. And welcome once again to another installment of 205 Live Matters. Tonight, we'll be discussing this week's episode of 205 Live and a couple things regarding the crew as far as Buddy Murphy and where he stands in the division, a couple of people who fellow members of the NoDQ Galaxy think would do well in the division, as well as an interesting tweet shared with me by the lovely Cindy G in regards to the Cruiserweight division from Landstorm himself. But before all that, allow me to introduce you to my guest tonight. He is also a member of hashtag NoDQ NX team. He is the Archangel, James Hebert. James, how are you, sir?
Doing good. I'm tired as hell, but other than that, I'm doing pretty well, man. How about you?
I'm all right. I always seem tired, but somehow I just keep pushing through. I mean, I got a test to do tomorrow. I had lab and work today. I got work tomorrow. I don't know. Wrestling somehow, it fries me. It keeps me going.
There you
go.
I mean, unless I at least you could do it. I can't do Raw or SmackDown. I feel like that shit drains me, but I can do 205, so that's good.
Respect that. Hashtag 205 matters. Well, when you have great friends to talk to, such as you and fellow members of NoDQ Galaxy, Team NoDQ, and other people as well, hey, friends help you through the worst situations, including what's on TV. But in all honesty, Raw and SmackDown Live, they were pretty decent this week, but we'll save that to the self-proclaimed elite of NoDQ on their review. Stay tuned for that, folks. So let's get started. So I'd like to start tonight with your thoughts on this. Fellow NoDQ Galaxy member and fellow watcher, Two for That Matters, thank you, Ken Terminated by Google. He shared this comment with me about EC3. As you know, in EC3, recent NXT call-up, he really hasn't done much. He hasn't really even said a single word. So Ken thinks that maybe he would be a good fit into the 205 Live roster. Now, I looked at his weight. He's currently billed at 231 pounds. So I guess the first question to you, James, is do you think EC3 could lose the weight promptly by the 205 Live after WrestleMania?
No. And right. So I guess that's probably going to defunct the second question, because I always seen EC3 as more of a heavyweight contender. I've never really seen him as a cruiserweight guy, if that makes sense. Like, he has a certain style about him that doesn't scream cruiserweight. Like, he really doesn't. Like, you have other jack guys that do have that body tone that he does that scream like cruiserweight wrestler. I don't see that in EC3. I don't see him like being flashy. I see him he's like that old school throwback 80s kind of character.
Okay. Interesting.
If they were to book him right, but they haven't so far, so so much for that.
Yeah.
So much for that.
So, staying on topic of potential people that could go to 205 Live, you talked about people that have the certain physique, the certain build. Who do you see that in, actually, on the main roster?
If we're talking main roster to go to
205 Live.
To 205?
As far as your opinion goes, yes.
If they were to bring in... And I've always been an advocate that they should fucking bring in Cruiserweight Tag Team titles. If anybody should be the inaugural champs, it should be the Revival. Because I see the Revival could lose the weight and actually be 205 and under, and actually be the first Cruiserweight Tag Champions if they were to go that route. Other people that I could see really being shoe-in if he wasn't released was Ty Dillinger. I always thought he could have been great for 205 Live. The perfect 10 gimmick writes itself. Could have turned him heel. Could have had him as like a heel champion over in 205. And if I were to pick, I guess, one more, really, I guess Balor. A lot of people said Balor would be a step down for him, and obviously he's Intercontinental Champion now, but I actually see it as the opposite, where if he were to go down to 205, he would bring a lot of eyes to the product initially. And I feel like if he were to win the the Cruiserweight title, it would really kind of set everything apart. Like, it would be kind of like the Neville deal, like where Neville went to 205 and he won the cruiserweight title and all that.
Right. And he
So
his character and basically redefined what it meant to be cruiserweight champion in that brand for the near days he had it.
Yeah, that's what. So if they're the four, I guess would be Dawson, Wilder, Balor, and who's the other guy I said? I'm sorry, I blanked. I think
Dawson,
it was
Wilder, Balor, Ty.
Yeah, Ty Dillinger.
Ty.
Right. If he didn't get released.
I got you. Speaking of releases, let's go ahead and go into our next topic. Apologies for us didn't mention at the beginning. We had yet another release this week. We already knew Hideo Itami. He was gone, all right. They gave him his permit anyway. But apparently they released TJP. Now, according to what I read on ODQ, they were saying he was released for being hard to work with backstage and maybe his overall look. What are your thoughts on TJP's sudden release, and where do you see him going from here?
He's taking a break at this point. That's what I see. Maybe he'll go to All Elite, but from what he said, I think he's gonna take a break for a bit. The thing that frustrates me most about TJP, and a lot of people, I think, forget that he was the inaugural Cruiserweight champion when the Cruiserweight Classics happened.
Correct.
And I watched the entire goddamn thing. The reason why, and I want to preface this, the reason why, you want to know the reason why 205 Live gets so much shit for how it's booked right now? Look at the fucking Cruiserweight Classic. That is how this fucking division should be booked. Period. There's no excuse on why it shouldn't have fucking been booked that way. TJP was the perfect goddamn champion. If you weren't going to go with Ibushi, and you weren't going to go with Zack Sabre, and you weren't going to go with Grand Metalik, this was the guy to go with. This guy could have been your workhorse champion. He'd already proven his goddamn worth, considering, I don't know, he went through like 3 of the very best cruiserweights in the entire 32-man tournament, and he won the title, correct? So then they turn him into a fucking gamer. They give him rip-off Mega Man music instead of keeping the fucking song that he had previously. Already killed him dead. Granted, maybe he could have made it work. Some blame could go to TJP if you're going to look at it like, hindsight 2020, sure. But make no mistake about it, the creative team did no fucking favors for this guy at all. This guy was getting buried week in, week out, week in, week out. They had, first off, the one thing they fucking did, which they fucking do with everybody, is have him read a scripted promo. Need I remind you of that horrible promo they had him say, "I have a cold"? Yeah, great.
I remember the early inaugurations of 205 Live, heavily influenced by the ways of Vince. Yes.
And by the way, need I remind you that still hasn't recovered because Vince still has a say, and it keeps getting pre-showed now, and that's why I think TJP left, because he knew the fucking writing was on the wall, so he got tattoos. He fucking left. That's what he did, and I don't fucking blame him. I think he probably thinks he deserves a lot fucking better, considering he was one of the mainstays for the X Division for a period of time. Like, the guy's no fucking slouch in the ring. He's a great worker. He's a great talker when you don't script his shit. That's it. That's all it comes down to. You know what I mean? And this guy is such an underrated talent. And I could say that for a lot of the guys on the 205 Live roster, but it's just this guy in particular, the inaugural fucking champion, is the most underrated fucking and most underappreciated, even probably more so than Itami was. The most underappreciated fucking guy in that entire roster. And they just fucking get rid of him and just piss all over his career. And I don't understand why. Yeah, maybe he wasn't the greatest wrestler in that entire division, sure. But he was still your inaugural champion. He was still a guy that you trusted enough to go over Kota Ibushi, quite arguably one of the best cruiserweight wrestlers in the world.
Without doubt.
And you fucked him over. Why?
The world may
I
never
don't
know.
I don't fucking blame him for leaving, man. I really don't. And you know what? Best of luck to TJP since WWE didn't fucking say it. Best of luck to all your future endeavors, and you got a full supporter in me, man.
James, that was a very passionate rant. I truly appreciate it. And I can definitely tell you believe 205 Live Matter straight down to the talent itself. So thank you for that. So with that, let's close into one more short, brief topic because I feel like this guy shares similar sentiments to you about the direction of the show. Lance Storm shared an interesting tweet this past week, courtesy of Cindy G. Thank you, Cindy, for sharing that with me. Go follow her, folks. NoDQ.com/Cindy.
Absolutely.
Lance Storm said, I don't watch 205 Live. Watching the pre-show and just realized the WWE Cruiserweight Champion is bigger than the WWE Champion. Now, I can say this. The WWE Championship, it is in, I feel like, a state of recovery because the new Daniel Bryan, he has brought it up a lot more, I believe. From the new title he brought in, to the matches being showcased for it, to the fact it actually closed the last show. Now, truth be told, before then, the WWE title, it did fell flat. And let's not even talk about when it fell at its worst state during the age of Jinder Mahal. But I digress. Do you believe right now that the Cruiserweight title is worth more and bigger than the WWE title?
No. And I'm not saying that against Lance Storm. I get what he's saying. It is, if you look at how they present it, programming wise, yes, it looks a lot bigger than the fucking WWE title. And without a doubt, I agree with him there. But the fact is, in reality, it just isn't. I mean, obviously one's bigger than the other. But two things I kind of want to go about. I'm gonna kind of hop over main roster and 205 here for a second. A lot of what 205 has been doing, the main roster's finally fucking paid attention. You fucking notice that? Do you notice this? Because remember, like, you know, obviously the addition of Mustafa Ali, and then when he got hurt, who did they slate in his place? Kofi Kingston. A freak accident turned into a fucking gold mine for them. A gold mine. And they realized it, and it looks like now they're booking and looks like they're penciling in Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania as opposed to Fastlane. Hence why they did the whole Becky Lynch thing all over again by having Kevin Owens take his place. I really like this. I actually really like that booking decision a lot. I thought it was actually a really smart idea to have Kevin Owens go in there in Fastlane and then have Kofi earn his way back in.
Okay.
I really enjoy that. Obviously, that was going to be Mustafa Ali's spot because they saw a lot of potential in him, but Kofi deserves it a lot more than Mustafa Ali does. No disrespect to Ali.
No, I kind of agree with you on that because, again, Kofi's been in the business for 11 years. He has yet to get his WrestleMania moment, and he has yet to be the WWE champion. But I completely agree with you on that. Now, you're also probably going to bring up, because I bet you were going to go to Raw at this point, they had Lio Rush versus Finn Balor. Lio Rush, a current member of the 205 roster, and Finn Balor, who at one point, I don't know if it's even true anymore,
For the Intercontinental Championship.
To go to 205 Live.
Yep.
So, go ahead.
For the Intercontinental Championship, it was too. And I mean, I like that they're finally giving the proper attention to the 205 Live, which it has desperately fucking deserved. And not just on one brand, but on both. Like, the fact that it was a Raw exclusive brand thing, it was dead in the water before it even fucking started.
Oh, God.
And proof was in the pudding when you didn't include Kalisto in that. You know, in when it first launched. You know, and it was just like, finally, after all this time, 205 Live guys are finally getting their just due, and hopefully it continues. God, for the love of God, do not pre-show this Cruiserweight title match. You want to start the fucking Mania show, the main card hot. You want them hot, especially when you're going to have like a 6-hour show. If it's going to be Buddy Murphy versus whoever, it's got to open the fucking show. Mark Henry has even put over the Cruiserweights. A heavyweight, by the way, has put over the Cruiserweights and how unbelievably athletic they are, how unbelievably diverse yet one that they are.
Yep.
And I want to see more of this. For once, it looks like the WWE seems to finally be listening to their consumer. Is it enough for me to tune in full time again? Remains to be seen. I'm not putting all my chips down yet. But this is finally a good start. I don't know how long it fucking took. But,
Well, we could probably go on forever, but I'm sure people are like, get to the show already! What happened this week? Because I don't watch the show! But I think you gave people definitely a teaser of what this brand brings and a teaser of things to come. So thank you for your thoughts on all this. With that, let's get started on tonight's show. So tonight's show was basically the opening to the Cruiserweight Championship Tournament, the 8-man single elimination championship tournament. And literally the show was just the 2 matches announced from last week. Tony Nese versus Kalisto, and the Brian Kendrick versus Drew Gulak. So, of course, we start with the usual stick, a typical opener where Drake Maverick, he welcomes us to the brand, he talks about these matches, he also introduces us, though, to all these competitors and what each of them bring to the brand and why he chose them for this tournament. And I really appreciate that. It shows the value of his roster, and it also gives the fans, the casuals who may not even heard of these people or seen this stuff, but maybe trying to get into wrestling, it gives them an idea of what to expect. Because 205 Live has a little bit of everything. So I really enjoyed this opening.
Absolutely. And another thing I want to point out, I was talking about how the main roster was taking ideas from 205 Live earlier, finally.
Yes.
Notice how this happened. And Maverick's been doing this for a while, where he does these opening promos, introduces everybody that's going to be in the 2 matches or whatever. However many matches they're going to be, and whatever's going on to further the storyline.
Yes.
Guess what WWE finally did for Aleister Black and Ricochet? They gave him a fucking promo package, kind of similar to the one that fucking Rockstar Spud gives for the Cruiserweights. Not exactly, but it's pretty similar. Gee, I wonder why that worked. I wonder why they finally got cheered this week on Raw.
Well, first off, it wasn't in Lafayette. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it like I mean it. Lafayette, you disappoint me. Learn what WWE is. Learn what NXT is. It's a damn good brand. These people deserve that adulation and respect. But we'll leave Stephen and Jerry to the NXT rank because, again, we're going off topic.
Yeah. I will. This is the only thing I'll say about that.
Go ahead.
I don't blame the Lafayette crowd, and here's why. Here's why, and I think this will kind of put into perspective. They just threw a bunch of stars in their face, and they just looked at Triple H, and they were like, and?
Jeez.
And? I'm sorry, no. I love these guys. Of course, I'm going to know who they are. But as a casual, I can totally see where the fucking Lafayette crowd's coming from. Why should they care if they don't watch it already? Give me promo packages. Give me something other than highlight reel moves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what they finally got right here. And yeah, they got cheered on SmackDown, but that was in more of a crowd that knew them. But if you're trying to appeal to the casual fan, you're going to want to do promo packages. And that's what they finally did here. And they got that from stuff like 205 Live and NXT.
Sure, because 205 Live and NXT, they focus more on promo versus video package. That way you learn about the talent, you know why this is here, and you know how it's being built. So let's get right into tonight's show. So the first match was Kalisto versus Tony Nese. Basically a battle of speed versus power. This was an incredible hot back and forth bout, in my opinion. And let's see here. So Kalisto, he claims that Nese doesn't know what it's like to be at WrestleMania. He does. And truth be told, he's right. Nese has not yet been on the big stage. But Nese claims that he got through that metal block in his head. This is his tournament to win. Everyone else's tournament to lose. So with that, they get right into it. And always with every 205 match, you get a bit of a filling out process. But they don't really feel the same ever in matches. Sometimes it's like a mat game. Sometimes it's more of an aerial game. Here was a little bit of both. We had some exchanges with some arm drags. There was a chop fest. There was some support maneuvers from, of course, Kalisto, because, lucha style, which is all about flight. Nese had some interesting spots there.
Don't forget, he did the good lucha thing.
True. He did do the good Lucha thing. At least 3 times he tried to get the crowd behind Lucha. You're absolutely right. But yeah, both these men, they're basically going after each other with kicks. There was kip ups. There was multiple kicks. I mean, you had the spinning back kick. You had super kicks, drop kicks. At one point, Kalisto, he does his first like suicide dive. Then we get a springboard crossbody from him into our first near fall. Going forward, you get a combination moonsault, cartwheel exchange on the apron into a vicious elbow strike. Nese finally regains control, though, by doing a backdrop to Kalisto. I am glad Kalisto did not land on those stairs during that backdrop. That would have been disastrous.
Yeah, no, I got terrified, honestly, when that
And when they
happened,
showed the
because I
replay
thought,
and he cleared the stairs, I was like, oh, good.
dude, he was that close to necking himself, though. Like, that was not cool. Like, chill, Kalisto.
A little reckless. A little reckless on the whole lucha style, really flying, but
I mean, there's a good look, man. There's a it's one thing to have a good lucha thing, and then there's another thing to just go and never be able to do the lucha thing again. So let's chill out. let's chill out. Anyway, continue.
No problem, man. I completely understand what you mean. Following this, Nese basically gains control for most of the match. He goes to a cover, not even a near fall, and then he just keeps on the offense. He sends him to the barricade. There's chops, there's stomps. He goes in to break the count, more chops. He was really controlling the outside of the ring. And then there was an attempted Hurricane Rana. Once again, Kalisto underestimating Tony Nese's strength. Tony Nese overpowers him, swings him into the barricade, immediately throws him in for a cover. Still not enough. And then we get a moment of a rest hold here. No commercial break, though. So, I mean, it wasn't like a boring exchange on Raw or SmackDown Live. You get a commercial for Temptation Island or Pizza Hut in a mute window, thank God. And it was actually very short because, hey, I'm just speaking the truth, all right? I'll say this. Fuck commercials. Fuck television. I don't give a shit about Chris Lee. I don't give a shit about Temptation Island. I already ate Pizza Hut. Stop using the damn action, tiny window, but I actually want to see the damn action.
Well, I mean, how? But then how are they gonna fucking pay for their TV rights?
Do it after a match. Hell, you got breaks in between matches. You don't do back to back to back to back. They don't even do that at freaking live events. I know personally.
Trust me, I
shows. I don't need to see Glass 15 damn times for you to convince me to watch it. Because guess what? I never did.
Listen, on a related note with this whole rant on TV, remember how they said that they were when they first said that everything was going off of analog and switching to cable, that it was going to produce less ads? Yeah, how well did that go?
Let me see. Bizarro World. Yay! Nord Reality. Nope. God. Absolutely ridiculous. All right, back.
Sorry. I just thought I'd put that out there.
Hey, I went off topic, you went off topic. This is an open forum for ranting and 205 Live matters because, again, all this stuff relates to 205 Live, how they do stuff differently. From the production value to the treatment of the superstars to the treatment of the title, it all correlates. Simple as that. Anyway, good. Continuing from that, we get a wrestle, but then Kalisto, he gets out of it. We get an elbow strike into a kick and a head scissor Rana into another kick. Then we get top rope sit out from Kalisto, almost like what Rey Mysterio does, following up a 619 after he stopped doing the whole dropping the dime thing. But then we get a nice DDT into a cover, then a basement run into a cover. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot. Buddy looks on from an awkward angle on a television. They're back to that stick again. I will say this. At least he's not like having to look up. It's actually almost at his eye level or slightly below. And it seems like he actually can see the television like a normal person would. So, 205 Live, good on you for that.
I swear to God, the only reason they do the whole this kind of angle thing is because it's like, I gotta see the abs, damn it. I gotta see the abs, pal. Like, that's gotta be the only reason this is even a thing. Like, because I don't, no normal, well, some people do it, but it's, like, they're not lounging around on a couch. I mean, I guess in this case he was, but he was at an angle where he didn't fucking need to. He was on a straight couch, and the couch was lateral, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To the TV. Why do we do this?
I don't know. It surprises me how they did it with Shane and Miz. It actually seemed like a normal thing, and yet they haven't done it since. Anyway, getting back into the match, we get our Kalisto. He tries to hype the crowd up, get behind Lucha. He starts Lucha champs, and then
Lucha.
yeah, all that fun stuff. I remember taking part of that. And then he ends up getting planted on the top rope, and then we get a headbutt from Kalisto, but Nisa out of nowhere pops up with an open palm strike, just catches it out of nowhere. Then Kalisto, he attempts to go for his finisher off the top rope, the Salido del Sol, for the first time in the match. Gets countered into a suplex that ends up hanging Tony Nese in the Tree of Woe. But to his credit, great upper body strength by him to literally pull himself up without his hands, I might add, to get out of that Tree of Woe spot. And following this, he goes for, well, all or nothing. He goes for a 450 and crashes and burns. Kalisto immediately capitalizes, does his own 450, nails it, cover, but Tony Nese, ingenuity, foot on the rope. This is the only way I could see this match continuing. I did not see him kicking out of that, so that was a great spot. Kalisto, frustrated, starts up his lucha thing again. I feel like he was hyping himself up more than the crowd there in this point. Goes for another Salido del Sol, gets countered into a forearm, and then Nese with his other ace in the hole, a running Nese. Nope. Gets countered. Then we get a Rofu kick by Kalisto into another cover. Not enough still. One more time, folks. Lucha, get behind Lucha. Some of the crowd seem to be trying to anyway. Third time attempt for the Salido del Sol. He goes straight into a super kick. And then Nese launches Kalisto with his feet. Shades of that same spot with Akira Tozawa and Kalisto back in the Royal Rumble Cruiserweight title match. That was an awesome match, man.
Very good match.
Yeah. And then following this, Kalisto gets a really awkward landing. I feel like he landed like on his lower back first. I feel like he was trying to land on his feet.
Yeah, he was. I'm pretty sure he was.
He couldn't. Maybe that was like a full body drop. Yeah.
But apparently, his upper body strength gave out on him finally.
Finally. And then, yeah, Tony Nese, he gets a roll through, tries to go for his pump handle driver. Kalisto then counters that into a cover. Then we get Hurricane into a cover. Kalisto doing everything he can to try and win.
Dude, it was reversal after reversal.
Yeah, and you know what? He's on a third attempt with a sit-down cover. Go ahead.
Here's the one thing that sucks about this. I do want to point this out because I was watching this match and it was fucking great from top to bottom before you get to the ending here.
Sure.
And I'm thinking to myself, you put this in a Nitro crowd and it was opening the fucking Nitro card or a Halloween Havoc card or any WCW pay-per-view, or any WWE pay-per-view back in the day from that matter, this would have been heralded right up there with Eddie and Ray. That's how good this match was. No, I'm serious. This was a really awesome match. Here's the problem, though, and here's where the match gets dimmed down. The crowd's fucking tired because, again, and I don't know why the fuck they did this, they put it back after fucking SmackDown. If it didn't work the first time, what the fuck makes you think it's going to work this time? Obviously, the crowd's tired after watching a fucking epic clash on SmackDown, not even, like, a segment before this.
Pretty much. I completely agree. And again, the reason they put it back in this time spot is because Vince, and I quote, he wanted more live content on the WWE Network. So apparently he believes recording 205 live, not to sound redundant, after SmackDown Live makes fucking sense. Versus doing it before Raw, where you got main event instead. But that's Vince for you.
Yeah, and Vince, put this on here. I hope this gets around to you. You're an OCD freak, and it's fucking with your business. I don't know if you understand this. No, I'm serious. Because here's the thing. Not only is it undercutting the business of 205 Live, but it's undercutting the business of SmackDown Live, too. Gee, I don't know if you can tell by the ratings and the attendance figures or not.
Don't get me started.
Maybe there's a fucking correlation there? Just saying.
It's entirely possible. But hey, like I said, it is what, like Big G says, it is what it is, unfortunately. Yet we're the authority. Don't get me started on that. Anyway, yeah, basically to finish out this match, we get, like I said, Following this, Nice, he finally gets Kalisto into a suplexes into the corner, and just finally takes him out with a running Nice. And he pins Kalisto for the win. Now, what's interesting here is I noticed how close Kalisto's hand was to the bottom rope. I feel like he really could have literally just grabbed down and touched it, maybe like Kevin Owens, like with one finger. But I guess they A, had no more time for it, or B, maybe he really didn't have anything left. But bottom line, Tony Nese advances. So everybody last week, including me, we called it right. So you kind of talked about how much you enjoyed this match, but let me get a little more of your feedback on it. What are your further thoughts on this match?
I mean, it was just back and forth all the way around. I mean, you had the technical wizardry of Tony Nese, and oh my God, has he improved even since his days from the Cruiserweight Classic, and he was good in ring then, but I feel like he's gotten even better since. You got Kalisto, who's tremendously improved since going to 205. Legitimately, like, and then you put these two in the ring, and it's like they're having a barn burner. Back and forth action all the way around. Tony Nese doing that cartwheel into super kick combo. I still don't know how he does that. That ridiculous
on the apron, nonetheless, too.
Yes. You have Kalisto almost necking himself on the steps. Like, these guys were killing each other in this matchup. Reversal after reversal after reversal after reversal. If you want to see good psychology within a cruiserweight match, this is definitely the match to see. That's why I'm saying it definitely is close with Eddie and Ray if this was in any other crowd ever. I say that. Like, it probably wouldn't be, like, wicked close. It'd probably be, like, top 5. But because it was in, such a tired crowd, it just it takes you out of the match, and that's the one thing that sucks about it. But it was still an amazing match, and it sucks that, they're, putting on a barn burner in front of practically, like, 3/4 of an empty house, pretty much. I think it's not, there's no justice. It's like the redhead. I remember you and Owen called it the redheaded stepchild of WWE. And it really is, except instead of red, it's purple and orange, I guess.
Like the title. I will say this. The title is also valid, going off top, just a little bit of a side topic. I kind of wish the title was black and gold, but I digress. Oh, by the way, botch again by the announcers. Tony Reese? What the hell are you thinking about? Reese Cups? Tony Reese? Great, Nick. You're so generic and bad at your job. All you say is takedown, counter.
Wait.
You're misannouncing people's names.
Hold on. I got a check for this. Niece's Zebs. Vanilla chocolate flavor. I had to. It was too good.
Of course you did.
It was too good.
All right. So moving on to the show, we see Buddy. He's elated. He applauds, and he gets some random guy, crew member, who the heck knows, to applaud with him, who's applauding the most awkward way possible. So that's the end of that. Pretty much. So following this, we get a backstage segment now with an iPad on Jack Gallagher's knee, and apparently it's showing off the match last week that Humberto Carrillo had. But it's showing a particular spot. He basically shows him flying over the top rope and successfully landing it, and then eventually immediately closes the pad. And he looks at him and says, "Now, I'm not mad at you, I'm disappointed. Because what you did here successfully was a high-risk maneuver, but you could have applied the same amount of damage with a simple wrist lock. But that's okay, because tonight you have a learning opportunity as you get to see how Drew Gulak will show you how to take someone apart piece by piece." And then following this, we get the backstage vignettes of Drew Gulak. He's prepping himself up, and then B. Brian Kendrick, the veteran of the brand, he's getting prepped up, but he also gets a good, warm, good luck hug from his running mate, Akira Tozawa. So, yeah. And then following this, we go into Drake Maverick's office. I almost said the wrong name.
Rockstar Spud.
Yes. TNA and Impact. They matter too. I watched them, so was that. I love Allie and Rosemary, but I'll leave that to me. Oh, shit. Never mind. Anyway.
No,
Okay,
you just
that's
no
not
way. You
fun.
no what no
Yeah,
what.
I watch Ali's
It's
World.
too late. It's
Okay.
too late, bro. You just
I'm
played
busted.
yourself.
I'm busted. Hey, I said I'm a fan of wrestling. I told you that. Now you know I watch Impact. And yeah, I like Ali and Rosemary. I like the storyline. I'll save that for another video. Anyway, following this, we go into Drake Maverick's office, and he is talking with Maria and Mike Kanellis. And they're basically going over last week's match where he says, the ref's decision is confirmed. You can't argue with tape. But you took the best to the limit. That's why I want you to go home this week and rest, and next week you get a match. And apparently, Maria, she is elated about this. It's like, this is the match we've been waiting for. Keyword, the. That same word, the. What is the match? Are we truly going to see that next week? And then they just walk off and said, Drake, thank you. Glad we're on the same page. So, what are your thoughts on these couple of backstage segments? And what do you think overall the match is?
You want me to be real?
Go for it.
I think the is Ricochet, to be honest. I guarantee it, the is Ricochet. Because the main roster have no clue what to do with this guy. Like, at all. So I'm starting to think that he might be in 205 Live for a bit before he comes over to the main. That might be what they do, to be honest. I think Aleister Black, out of all three, all four of those call-ups, was the most ready. And as great as Ricochet is, if it was the wrong time to bring him up, especially if they had no plan for him. Bringing him to 205 to feud with Mike Kanellis doesn't sound like a bad program to me.
It would be quite a match. I actually would like to see that more as an open challenge back when Ricochet was the North American champion. Tyler Breeze was a great pick, but I feel like he and Mike would have had a very interesting match too. And I know Ricochet has also been one of those rumored to potentially be labeled on the 205 Live brand. So we'll see.
I would like.
Match. That would be an insane match to behold.
Tyler Breeze should be on 205. I feel like he would do so much better. If he could lose a couple extra pounds, he'd be a shoo-in for that brand.
Yeah, well, according to Tyler Breeze, he is literally just says, I'm main event. So as far as we know, Tyler Breeze, he's right now segregated to main event. And that's all he wants, apparently. So I don't know what that tells you, besides frustration. And maybe the only spot where a jobber can actually thrive. Because, sad to say, freaking jobbers like Jinder Mahal, the B Team, the Ascension, and even Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins, and No Way Jose, they own that show. Gah. And that's before friggin' Raw every week, too.
Yeah, and it's another hour of pointless fucking television. You wonder why the attendance numbers fucking go down, by the way.
Well, yeah, and what's ironic is I've been to a Raw. It's not an hour. It's literally 30 minutes. If that. Anyway, let's get back into it for live. So, all this, we go right into our main event. Yeah, this was literally just a two-match show. We get Drew Gulak versus the Brian Kendrick, the submission specialist versus the veteran, who's been now in the business, now in WWE for 15 years, had one of the longest tag title reigns ever, 343 days. Feels like he needs vindication for his career because he has yet to have a WrestleMania moment. A WrestleMania match.
I gotta be honest, I wish, and we're gonna get into the match, but I honestly think, I don't hate Gulak when I say this, I think Gulak was the wrong choice. I think if anybody deserved this fucking moment more, it was Kendrick. Honestly, I agree. I think he deserves it. I think he deserves a Mania moment. And honestly, there really isn't any bigger star right now. And casuals would know who Brian Kendrick is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it's like what me and Cindy discussed a couple weeks ago. She personally asked me, would I like to see Buddy Murphy versus the Brian Kendrick at WrestleMania? And of course, WrestleMania, you want the most well-known names there, but you also want to make moments to remember. I feel like, yes, that would be the match to put on. But apparently, that might not be the case come the end of this match. So let's get into it.
No,
sadly. So this was literally the exact opposite of the first match. Instead of like an aerial power game, it was a ground-based technical mat game.
It was a great mat game, too. Like, these guys were no fucking slack. Even Brian was able to keep up with them. This is just, keep in mind, Drew Gulak's the same motherfucker who went toe-to-toe it like half work, half shoot with Matt Riddle on the ground. An MMA fighter, by the way.
Yes.
Like, looking like he didn't lose a step when it came to Matt Riddle. And Brian Kendrick was taking it to him. He looked awesome here. Both of
Really
these guys
did.
looked
This was
fucking awesome in the match.
amazing back and forth bout. A huge chess game to say the least. Now, of course, to people that are used to the main event being high flying, super kicks, and all that fun stuff, I feel like some parts of the crowd didn't really understand what was going on here because they don't think about this as a main event. But I did.
I wonder why. Because WWE doesn't produce actual wrestling. They just decide, oh, here, we'll have every match the fucking same.
Well,
I wonder why.
if you ask my friend Virtue, he looks at the business like this. Today, there are not superstars. There are just wrestlers. And the reason there are just wrestlers is the reason why you have declining viewership. Now, I feel like that could be a whole topic in itself, and you could take that up with him because your definition
I agree with him.
Versus wrestler might be different for somebody else. I kind of agree with him. You don't have the weekly name that everybody comes to see or truly wants to see. You just have these bouts going. But that's the thing about wrestling. You don't necessarily go there to expect the same guy over and over. You go to see wrestling to learn and enjoy a show. And that's how I interpret 205 Live. It's an incredible show.
In fairness, you're 100% right, but I agree with what's his name? I'm sorry.
Virtue.
I agree with what Virtue said, and here's why. Because look at the Attitude Era, specifically in 2000. You not only had your wrestling, and you had multiple stars carrying that fucking payload. Not just Austin. It was a lot of guys on that thing. That fucking roster was stacked. There was superstars from the undercard to the main event. It wasn't just, guys. That's why I think people. It's not so much the fact that it's the rating or it's, the sex or whatever. And sure, that had a lot to do with it. But what it really came down to was the characters, the personalities, and everyone was doing something. And everything had meaning to the show, some way or another. And that is what is fucking drastically missing from this fucking product right now. Unless, of course, you go to NXT. If you go to NXT, it follows the same formula. It's sadly just on a platform that isn't USA. But I guarantee you put the shit on USA, it gets a bigger viewership than Raw, as it proved when it fucking debuted on Raw during Tribute to the Troops. I guarantee you put 205 Live, you build it up in the beginning of fucking, SmackDown, more people will rave about 205 Live. You put 205 Live after Tribute to the Troops next year or whatever, and you have like a whole Tribute to the Troops, then 205, then NXT, or NXT UK, NXT thing. People are gonna fucking flock to this a lot more than they would Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. If they continue that same booking pattern where that booking's better, and the SmackDown Live and Raw show is, it basically isn't. You know what I mean? And the problem with the 205 Live guys, especially with Kendrick and Gulak, which we're going to get into in a minute, I kind of want to get this point across. They just, if Vince doesn't see them as stars, people are going to notice that. People like these guys. They get pissed. They get fucking frustrated. And so what are they going to fucking do? They're like, why am I wasting time getting angry over this shit? And they tune out. Or they leave. It's like, all right, well, if you're not going to take this seriously, neither should I. Which is fucking sad. Because it's not Kendrick's fault. It's not fucking, it's not Kendrick's fault. It's not Gulak's fault. It's not any of these guys' fault. It's just the way they fucking stifle the creativity of this fucking 205 division. It's maddening. It's so maddening because you put it in perspective. I see Gulak just like I saw him on NXT. This is the guy that fought Kendrick. This is also the same guy that fought Riddle. The difference, the crowd was fucking hot when he was in NXT. He was fucking hot, red hot. That guy got a massive ovation, and when he said, "Why don't you come into this ring and make my day?" The best promo he's ever cut, and it was a few simple fucking words, and it made him into a superstar in one night.
Man,
in one goddamn night, you put him in the Attitude Era, and you have him get that promo. People would be like, "Ooh." Have him in the fucking lightweight division fighting Dean Malenko. I guarantee you'd sell some people on that. You might not sell the building, but you definitely sell some interest. Guarantee it. And that's the problem. There is no interest because Vince has literally beat the fucking dead horse with the interest, and it pisses everybody off, which makes you and me and guys like Owen and guys like Stefan and Jerry and everybody else to say, why the fuck are you stifling these guys? You wonder why TJP left? This is fucking why. 205 Live matters. God damn it. Fucking book them right. God damn it. Holy shit.
Well said. And I feel like Mike Kanellis is soon going to be added to that list too. Rumored has it at one point he was, but we'll see what happens. But let's go ahead and get into this great mat-based game. So both men, they basically went for a feeling out process a little bit. There was some arm locks, some head locks. There was a little bit of back and forth. Then we got a couple of quick covers, really, because they didn't even get to like a 2 count. At one point, the nearest thing you had to a 2 was a suplex into a bridge, then a couple more covers, and then we finally get into a bit of a longer submission. We also then get into a neck break into a backslide. Again, these both men just countering each other back and forth, tit for tat, working on each other's arms and legs and trying to get a move in, though they never really got like a full extension on any of their moves. I mean, there was an ankle lock and then a modified Boston Crab from Drew Gulak. Seamless transition, by the way. Amazing how they capitalized on those covers. They weren't even near falls, just covers. Eventually got physical. You got like some chops into a clothesline, then another cover, and then Gulak with a little bit of Pete Dunne shade, some joint manipulation with the hand, the wrist, and the arm. I tell you, the way that these guys can try and bend the human anatomy, you don't even need to go to nursing school to see that stuff hurts like hell.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and then following this, we get chops, some more arm drags, and then arm drag into an attempted arm bar, but he couldn't fully extend it. Right.
I love that armbar spot. I thought like it felt like they were mixing. You know, like those It's not like on that same level. Like it's not quite on that same level, but I'm reminded of like Benoit and Angle.
Absolutely.
Benoit Jericho, or Angle Jericho, Eddie Angle, Angle Benoit, like those kind of mat wrestling classics where it was just like. They were really like, going hold for hold here. I love that.
I recently got done watching WrestleMania 23, and Benoit had a great match with MVP, and that was mostly a mat game too. So I completely understand where you're coming from there. Mat game matches are actually very intriguing to watch. You don't watch it for the hot spot. You watch it to learn and see the strategies play out and see if you can see where it's going from here and who can capitalize. From here, I couldn't guess either one who could win here because, again, it's a mat-based game. You have to imagine a mat-based match is going to come down to submissions. Both men, they have key submissions. V. Brian Kendall with the captain's hook and Drew Gulak with the Gulak. Speaking of which, we get to both of those actually in this match, as both were played into this match. So Gulak with a few more roll-throughs. We get some forearms, a reversal, because there's a little bit of physicality here. Bulldog attempted, was reversed by Drew Gulak, and then we get spin into inside cradle, and Gulak gets a little bit more offense in with back body drop into a cover. It looks like he literally just dropped on top of Drew Gulak into the cover.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Just collapses on him.
I mean, hey, whatever works, right? That's a lot of weight on you. Get some short blocks, and then, like I said, he falls to the cover. We get trap leg German, which was very interesting because it looks like there's a bit of a different impact here because usually a German suplex, you usually plan on falling like fullback first. But it looks like he was trying to maybe, I don't know, hyperextend his leg or something because he grabs his leg within his arm and just literally picks him up and suplexes him over his shoulder. Awkward landing by the Brian Kendrick too. But apparently the leg did not play at all in the finish of this match. So tells me his leg was all right. And then Drew, he hits an elbow strike. Then we get a dragon suplex. Again, mat game. into a pop-up clothesline. That was a very interesting spot. I mean, out of nowhere, Drew Gulak, he gets suplexed, but just like no hesitation, no sell team. He suddenly stands up and just wipes out D. Brian Kendrick with a clothesline.
It was
fighting
such a brutal, stiff, damn
that was
lariat.
Stiff shot.
Jaw jacking, bro.
Yeah, speaking of jaw jacking, after Drew gets some stomps in, we get a jawbreaker into D. Brian Kendrick's finisher. A slice bread number 2, countered though by Drew Gulak into a cover. Then we get a roll through into the Brian Kendrick submission, the captain's hook. And I was like, this is the moment. He could possibly win here. But Drew Gulak was close to the ropes. The Brian Kendrick, though, the veteran he is, he finds a way to reverse Drew Gulak's attempted break towards the center of the ring, back into the captain's hook for a little while. But of course, following this, we get a dirty tactics by Drew Gulak, thus telling you who's the heel and who's the face in this match, because that's always going to be the WWE mentality. Heel versus face. Now, if you go like Ring of Honor or New Japan, you're not going to usually see that being the only mentality. But again, this is WWE. And following this, Drew, he gets the better of him into a cover. Then Kendrick basically, I guess you could say, lures Drew Gulak in, tells him, give me more. Come on, come on. Drew Gulak keeps on going after him, gets big boots, a couple big boots into a super kick. Then we get another slice bread attempt. Number two. That was redundant, but you get the idea. Into a rope cover. And a kata roll.
You know what we call that? Sliced bread squared.
Yeah, exactly. And then we finally get, unfortunately, he finally locks in the Gulak. But to the Brian Kendrick's credit, he never tapped out. His body gave up. Drew Gulak advances. And you could tell the audience was a bit distracted because the audience did pick up as this match progressed. Feeling the Brian Kendrick was going to win here because I could tell a lot of them wanted, like you said, the vet to win because he hasn't had his moment and you recognize this name. And you could tell how distraught the Brian Kendrick was after this match too. Drew Gulak, he didn't really seem pompous or cocky. He just seemed rather stoic, but I feel like he has mutual respect for the Brian Kendrick as well, despite their past.
Yeah, I agree. And by the way, I know, like we talk about like they should push the young guys, and they absolutely should, but it's never a bad idea to go with the veteran first. You know what I mean? Like a veteran or superstar like caliber. Like, look at how much buzz Ronda Charlotte Becky has right now. Because Ronda came in.
Their world there.
No, I'm just saying that. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? Maybe 2 out of the 3 have the most buzz, but still, you know, that whole program has the most buzz mainly because there's a superstar in Ronda who made a flawless transition, in my opinion, as far as in ring work anyway, to WWE. And you have a superstar that has just been built over the last year in Becky Lynch. And you having these 2 worlds collide, and, you know, they build up a superstar to put over that guy. I feel like Brian Kendrick could be that kind of character. That's why I really wanted him to win here. Because I could have seen a respectable thing, you know, where it's Brian Kendrick at SummerSlam putting over Akira Tozawa and giving him a proper run with the title and giving some name recognition on him. You can say the same argument with Kofi. You could say the same argument with, you know, any other veteran, you know, that's, you know, young enough that can still do this full time. Yeah, why not give them the fucking belt? I mean, especially if they deserved it and they worked their ass off for it. Especially Kendrick. I feel like more than deserves a Mania moment. You know what I mean?
I completely agree. Yeah, but we'll see what happens next for the Brian Kendrick. I'm really going to be curious where he goes from here, especially since we learned the matches for next week. We now know the remaining 4. And I got to admit, a couple of them doesn't surprise me. Next week, we're getting Humberto Carrillo versus Oney Lorcan and Akira Tozawa versus Cedric Alexander. So, I feel like the Brian Kendrick, now that he's out, he's going to have to be behind his buddy, Akira Tozawa. So we'll see how that mentality comes into play as far as Akira Tozawa's in-ring style and stuff. But Akira Tozawa, he does own a victory over Cedric Alexander, courtesy of that Fatal 4 elimination match. Cedric Alexander, he won over Mike Kanellis. So it'll be interesting to see how this match goes. And as far as Humberto Carrillo versus Oney Lorcan, gritty striker, aerial offense. Humberto Carrillo, high-flying offense. And with Drew Gulak now in his ear, I can only imagine they're going to try and subside that. So it's going to be interesting to see how that match plays out. So what are your thoughts on matches next week? Who do you see winning both?
All right, so it's Oney Lorcan versus Humberto Carrillo.
Yes.
Lorcan. Lorcan, I see going.
All right. And what about Akira Tozawa versus Cedric Alexander?
Akira. Cedric's already had his chance. I feel like if they're not going to go with D. Brian Kendrick as a wrestler, they may give him a manager role for Mania, and I feel like Akira is the perfect guy to do that. So,
well, considering Akira Tozawa just had his last match with Buddy Murphy for the title, literally just at the previous pay-per-view Elimination Chamber, I believe that would certainly make sense. Speaking of the champ, we now know we are not going to get a match at Fastlane. We now know we're not going to get like a setup match before WrestleMania to warm him up. He literally decided based on how he went from nothing to everything of 205 Live, he's going to go on vacation. He's on vacation now back at home in Melbourne, Australia.
He's 205 Live Hall of Fame, by the way. Did you see that on his Twitter
Yes,
handle?
I saw his Twitter handle.
I love that. That is classic heel, dude. I love it. It's just hilarious, man.
I wonder if this is going to be like maybe a satellite interview at some point, or if we're going to get like maybe like Twitter updates of him actually watching 5 Live and seeing his competition of who's advancing, stuff like that. I feel like we may not see him, but I'm certain it's not going to be the last we've heard from him.
He starts doing movies and he takes the gimmick of Hollywood Rock and he just kind of rolls with it. What's the Hollywood like equivalent over in Australia? Like whatever the Hollywood equivalent is in Australia, like maybe just Melbourne or maybe just the Melbourne star Buddy Murphy. That kind of has a nice ring to it. Comes in, he's all clean cut. He's like, look at me, I'm a superstar. I'm the 205 Live champion. I'm the juggernaut of 205 Live. Just goes ham. That would be.
I would love that. And then the title sitting in the windowsill. Yeah, that would be awesome. So yeah, I think for just 2 matches, keep in mind, literally just 2 matches, this was a very good episode of 205 Live. So on a scale of 1 to 5, what would you rate this week's episode of 205 Live?
I will say I give it a 4. It would be a 5, but it's just like. Right. It's just the crowd, and I don't blame the crowd because if I was there, I probably wouldn't really react that much too. Or then again, I don't know, I might. It depends because I react no matter what. Like when I'm live,
yourself, you can't feel like everybody else. You don't know the mentality there. Yeah, I mean, there's some people with families that got kids, they got to go to school and stuff like that. There's people, like you said, that were burned out, and I feel like at one point during the slow exchange between Drew Gulak and D. Brian Kendrick, where they're trying to get each other out of corners and stuff like that to gain control. I feel like some of the crowd was turning on because they wanted to see something. Because, again, they're not used to this. But, again, the beauty of 205 Live, and I'll give the commentators some credit, especially Aiden and Nigel. They seem to be more on point. They talk about the diversity because on 205 Live, everyone's gunning for one title. There's nothing else there. Everyone's just going to be the best. If you're not the best, you're just another person on the roster. So you put everything into it to become the best. And in 205 Live, we got diversity because we have experts in everything. Technical, ground-based, aerial, brawler, you name it. Mixed too. Yeah, there's some people that are multi-fluent in these styles. And they got less than like 20 people on that roster too. So the fact they can incorporate like 6 to 7 talents, not necessarily in the ring every week, but just give you an idea of what they can bring or what's to be expected from them, is a credit to their name.
In fairness, I do think that they do need to bring tag titles, though. I do think.
Oh, I completely agree. When I first heard about the women's tag team titles, I thought that if anyone deserved tag titles first was the cruiserweights, based on the direction of the women. But now that I'm seeing the direction of the women tag titles, I might turn face. But I digress. I'll say that for another day. Heck, maybe my rant next week. Oh yeah, classes will be off, people. Be prepared. As far as 205 Live this week, I enjoyed both matches. It was a very unique dynamic where they had the slow, mat-based game be your main event versus the high, fast-paced aerial offense, physical brawl. The crowd was a little out of it, but we also got some great action regardless tonight. I feel bad for the Brian Kendrick, and I'm looking at also the stories being told here, not only in the ring in the matches, but in between as well with these promos. I'm interested to see what the match is. I'm interested to see how Alberto Carrillo, Drew Gulak, Jack Gallagher plays out, especially next week being in action.
Tony Nese and Buddy Murphy as well. And
yeah, now that Buddy's on vacay and we don't know who Tony Nese will face next, we don't even know what the bracket looks like. I think I am going to give it a 4. No, you know what? No, I'm not going to let the crowd defraud me. It's a 4.25 for me because, again, I like everything that was brought to me tonight. Nothing felt rushed. Nothing felt squashed. Nothing felt pointless, unlike a Charlotte promo. But I digress. Oh, come on. You're not the only one that thinks that. Fuck, I got Pizza Hut right here next to me, proving that point just like last night. I kid you not. I was eating Pizza Hut, all right? Shoot, that's more than listening to Charlotte, but I digress. I don't want to.
All I will say is at least she's in a proper role and not a fucking babyface.
I will say this. Yes, I think Charlotte is a better heel than a face. I probably am going to get a lot of backlash from the No DQ Galaxy, but you know what? It is what it is. Your opinions matter, but I have mine. Simple as that.
There you go.
All right. Well, that was an incredible discussion this week on 205 Live Matters. James, thank you so much for joining me this week. Where can people find you?
Well, I got a lot of stuff to plug, so bear with me. You guys can check me out on YouTube at youtube.com/user/jhebertside95. You can also follow me on Twitter at jhebertside95. That's JHEBERTSIDE95. Noah and I are also a part of a show on Wrestling Fortune 44, which you can find on the YouTube search engine. It's a Fortune logo with wrestling in the logo. You'll be able to find it. Can't be that hard to find. We are a part of the Wrestling Rundown, so you better check that out, especially this Saturday. As Noah said, glasses will be off, and I will probably get hot. And you guys can also check out my CAW Wrestling organization, which is actually inspired by No DQ when they originally did a CAW league back in 2004. And that is Weymouth Youth Wrestling. That's the show I run. That's youtube.com/user/WYW Pride. Very soon. I don't know how soon, but we will be hosting our big mega event. Either sometime before or after WrestleMania. Not really sure, just because school and whatnot. But Immortal will happen, and it's going to be a hell of a show. It's going to be a stat card. And even if you don't know the guys, I encourage you to watch it because I think you'll be surprised with what you see. Simple as that. Sorry if I stole your catchphrase.
It's all right. As far as I'm concerned, No DQ and beyond, we're all simple people that love wrestling. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jason and a lifelong fan of wrestling. So if you want to follow me and talk anything wrestling, WWE, 205 Live, Beyond, you name it, and I don't mean Beyond Wrestling only either. I'm talking about like Indie, New Japan, Impact, blah, blah, blah. You can find me at nodq.com/Noah. That takes you to my Twitter page. You can also find my simple YouTube channel, Simple Noah. Just look up youtube.com/users/Noah Foster 210. There you will find monthly WrestleCrate unboxings, pay-per-view predictions, WWE and Beyond, and some special one-off stuff too, including my new Indie Views series. I don't know when the next one will be, where I was basically doing a open forum with a local indie wrestling promoter right here in my hometown, Toledo, Ohio, Adam Larry, for his promotion, Extreme Chaos Wrestling. I'm looking forward to his next show, Friday, March 8th. Support your local indie wrestling, everybody. Also, stay tuned for Team Indie DQ. We will be going over the New Japan Cup, and we'll have our thoughts and bracketology coming to you shortly. If you are a fan of New Japan Pro Wrestling, check out our brackets, see who called it right. Let's see if I can dethrone the champ, Cindy G. I'm coming for you, Cindy. Like Jay White.
Oh, shit.
Also,
Oh, shit. You're going to carve her title art?
Anyway.
You're going to carve her title up with a fucking switchblade?
I mean, hey, I got the pin right next to me. I mean, you see the shirt. Speaking of which, folks, just go follow NoDQ.com, okay? There's a comments and opinions section on everything. Your opinion's mad. You can talk to us and anybody in the NoDQ Galaxy about anything. Check out our playlist, hashtag Team NoDQ, over 5,000 songs. I can name artists, but that would take all night and a year. Go buy a pen. Go buy a shirt, NoDQ.com/shirts. And like I said, subscribe to this YouTube channel, Aaron Riff, NoDQ. Also, stay tuned. Our Predictions League kicks off again next week. We'll be going over Fastlane. I will be part of, once again, the Rated R report for predictions, as I go up against our team's champ at hashtag NoDQMX Team, the Wizard of NoDQ, Stephen Osborne, for the title. We'll be discussing Fastlane, and yes, glasses will be off. I'm pissed, but I'm also will be seeing that show live, so stay tuned for live updates from the show as well when I go see it. And as always, folks, support your local wrestling outlets, both big and small, and let's keep growing this wrestling community together. Simple as that. With that being said, thank you all for watching this incredible edition of 205 Live Matters. And until next time, folks, have a good night.
Shock the system.
Cole, baby!
Woo!